Tonight on Sunday.
I just felt this real drive within me.
It started with a dream to feed
And I thought I could do something.
a need.
You can reach that one.
And change thousands of lives.
The teachers here immediately noticed something quite astounding.
So why are Kiwi kids
We as a nation need to say, this is enough.
being held back by hunger?
In New Zealand, it just doesn't make sense.
And she survived an horrific accident.
What do you think saved your life when the train was dragging you?
Losing my leg.
Now, 15 years on,
I'll get you up.
her first steps.
I'll be so excited, walking 2 legs.
Kia ora, I'm Miriam McCummell. Every morning, thousands of kids turn up to school with empty bellies. What's worse is many of them turn up with no lunch either. We know the problem, we hate it, but how many of us have done something about it? Well, Kerry Owen has. She's on a mission to feed the need, and over the next few months, her charity will hand out 30,000 free meals to primary school students in some of Auckland's poorest suburbs. Here's John Hudson.
High five. High five. First one.
You could hear screams of delight.
Oh, no one's got it. Oh, you got it. High five.
Just happy, excited children. It was as if, I was a celebrity.
Has anyone had sloppy joes before?
And, when that one child said, "Can I touch your hand?"
Oh, you got it.
I just thought, oh my goodness, of course you can. I'm not that great. I'm just a person.
Oh, it's feed the need. It's all good.
Kerry Owen, mother, businesswoman, and now guardian angel to hungry school kids, providing tens of thousands of free lunches. Why did you like it?
Because it was yummy.
It was yummy.
It's hot.
It's hot. What else?
It's scrumptious.
Scrumptious. Her mission, to make sure no New Zealand child goes hungry. Well, you're English.
Yeah.
Come to New Zealand. Why do you care so much about Kiwi kids?
I think all children deserve the best, and they're all beautiful. We're in a country which has so much to offer, so much food, and it's a shame that these children are going without. Right, okay.
So who is Kerry Owen? What's driving her? Well, she grew up in the UK, understanding the importance of food. Her father, George, was one of 11 at times very hungry children.
He was in real poverty and lived in state housing and went hungry a lot. And, they had to share 6 to a bed, didn't have adequate clothing. When he first had his first school lunch, he thought he'd died and gone to heaven.
Kerry's father went on to manage one of Britain's largest insurance companies. But he would have been nothing, says Kerry, if it weren't for free school lunches provided by the British government.
And all of his siblings have been really grateful for that time where the government actually stepped in and helped, with this family in need.
You can't learn if you're hungry.
You can't.
And because of this, Kerry was destined to help others. As a child, she raised money for other kids in need. Later, she met Matt. They had 2 children of their own, adopted 2 more. They moved to New Zealand. But what they didn't expect to find here, children going hungry.
I just felt this real drive within me. And I thought, OK, well, I've got an ability to be able to cook en masse. And I thought I could do something.
There's no stopping her once she gets going with her desires and the things that she wants to do. I didn't know how it was going to happen.
Once she had that idea, there was no stopping her. Kerry already knew how to run a commercial kitchen and a charity, so she started Feed the Need.
Feed the Need contacted a low decile school, and that was our first trial.
Right.
It was crazy times. It was 14-hour days. It was lots of chopping. It was full on.
And she already had a great support team, 4 children and a husband.
He's financially backed me. We've actually gone into debt for this.
So, Matt, you're the banker for Meet the Need.
The banker for it. It feels like I've been the banker at times, I must admit.
Are you in over your head?
We're not in over our head, no. We're good. Kerry would, I think, give away everything we owned if I let her.
We'll need to get 300.
And there's no financial gain for either of them. There must be a material sacrifice here, surely.
Definitely. Yeah, I think having the burden of a debt, it's hard on a relationship.
Yeah, you're wrung out with the stress of the day.
Yeah, I could just be sitting back and relaxing, making brownies and going to the park. I could be doing that, but then, and I'd sometimes think I'm going to scrap it all and not bother, and then the next day I'd think, right, keep going.
And she did keep going. 3 years ago, Feed the Need provided 5,000 free lunches in just one Auckland school. And then word got around.
As the founder, the progress being made, for me, is a dream come true.
Corporates like Goodman Fielder started helping out, and a skilled
program?
team of volunteers came on board. Kerry's dream became a reality.
It comes to about 15,000, which is really awesome.
Now they're giving 30,000 nutritious soup and bread meals to children who might otherwise have gone hungry.
I don't want it to be cheap food, because these children deserve more than that.
Nutritious food doesn't have to be expensive, does it?
It doesn't, no, especially not in New Zealand. And you can do big pots of stews, big pots of soups. That can go a long way and fill an empty tummy.
After the break, why are Kiwi kids going hungry?
I think it's because the government actually haven't put kids first.
I do not know a school that lets a child go hungry in the day.
The whole works. Debbie Watani is a solo mum with 6 kids under 10.
I'm separated from the children's father. It's hard for me because I have a lot of bills.
The father of Debbie's 6 children helps provide, even though he too was on a benefit.
It is a big struggle because you don't get much income, especially if you're a solo parent on the benefit. You get bugger all.
Have there ever been times when you can't feed your family?
Yes, and when I do get desperate, I go to work and income, and I do apply for food through them, or I normally go to Salvation Army and get food parcels.
You might think this is an exceptional case, but it is a growing reality in poorer areas.
Some weeks I have to go without for myself and give all for my children.
How much food is here for those kids?
It's Tuesday, the day before Debbie gets her benefit, and her fridge is almost empty.
You've got some carrots and some milk, but
Some will probably have carrot stew.
there's no bread.
No, no.
What are you short of at the moment?
Yeah, quite a few things.
Middle ones.
With so many mouths to feed, Debbie says sometimes she just doesn't have enough food to feed her kids.
How many times have you decided to keep them home because you don't have food for their school lunches?
Maybe twice a week.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like maybe, and that'll be at the beginning of the week. And then come Monday, I'm thinking, oh gosh, I hope I've got something left for them to, take to school for lunch.
Yeah. What do you say to those people who are watching tonight who say it's the parents' responsibility to feed their children?
Yeah, it is our responsibility. Yeah, at the end of the day it is. But just a little extra help from anywhere would be great, I reckon.
This term, Debbie's 3 eldest boys are at school.
Come on, boys.
Feed the Need is here handing out free lunch.
Enjoy.
A hearty vegetable and meat stew with bread.
And is it yummy?
Yes.
It fills your puku up?
It's healthy.
Yeah. So there's some days when you don't have lunch? Yeah.
Feed the Need began providing free school lunches at this school last year on just 2 days. And the teachers here immediately noticed something quite astounding, that on those 2 days, energy levels and attendance went through the roof.
So when Feed the Need came in, what we did notice is our attendance levels went up and learning increased. That means that we had better student outcomes.
How much has attendance gone up by?
Last year we dealt with 60% of our students that weren't, attending school, and now what we're seeing is that we have only a handful of children who probably sort of anywhere between 20 and 30.
So they come to school because they know they're going to get lunch?
Yeah, absolutely.
So why is this happening? Why in a country which exports so much food are so many children going to school hungry?
There's a whole lot of reasons why kids arrive at school hungry, But the important thing is it's never the child's fault.
Russell Wills, Children's Commissioner and paediatrician, says it's usually not about poor budgeting.
What we see is there simply isn't enough money. The cost of housing is too high. Incomes, whether they're from paid work or from benefits, are simply not high enough, even with top-ups like working for families. So those families are getting further and further behind, and that's why we're seeing these kinds of unmet needs.
Isn't it a national disgrace? 1 in 4 kids living in poverty, thousands starving.
We're a first world country with a temperate climate, and agriculture is the backbone of our economy. I don't understand how we can have poverty, or particularly food poverty, in New Zealand. It just doesn't make sense.
Russell Wills says charities like Feed the Need are doing a great job, but it's just not enough.
We as a nation need to say, this is enough. We've had enough. We expect our government, whichever it is, to take this issue seriously, have a plan and watch those numbers fall.
Well, we do have a plan for children that are living in poverty.
Social Development Minister Paula Bennett says government is now helping to provide free breakfasts to kids in 760 schools.
So let's be clear, so the government provides fruit in schools, we have Business Fonterra that provides milk in every school, and we have breakfast available for any school in New Zealand that wants it. But I don't think it's, in New Zealand, it is our role to be providing lunch for every child that goes to school.
Up to 285,000 children live in poverty in New Zealand, but it's unknown how many of them go to school hungry.
How many children are going to school in New Zealand without breakfast, lunch or both?
Yeah, well, that's a good question, and one that we don't know the answer to.
Why don't you know the answer?
Well, because the reality is you go into any classroom on any particular day. Some children will be having a second breakfast at one of our breakfast clubs. Some will say that they haven't had breakfast, but there will be varied reasons for it. They're a moving little bunch that it's quite hard to count a number on, to be quite frank.
Is it because you just don't want to know?
Oh, absolutely not.
Russell Wills regularly sees the results of children going hungry and is adamant that a national plan with targets is the answer.
We have a plan in legislation to reduce PSA in kiwi fruit. We've got a plan to reduce the numbers of rats and stoats in our national parks. This is at least as important as those things.
Well, we've got a plan to win the America's Cup as well, which is costing many more dollars than it would to feed these children.
Yeah. So this is about our national priorities. National priorities follow public sentiment.
If it is so important, why is the government not taking the lead on this?
Yeah, but if you turn up to school hungry, then there is breakfast available that is free, yeah? Free for the school, free for the child.
But not for lunches.
Yeah, but there is fruit in schools and there's milk in schools. I think that the government, the state if you like, is doing its part.
National, they feel they're doing enough. I don't feel they're doing enough because these children are going hungry.
Kerry Owen says solving the problem is cheaper than you might think. She's done the numbers.
It's $1.83 for a fresh roll and nutritious.
$1.83 a day?
Yeah.
To feed a child at school?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's not much. I had one politician say there's just not enough money to do this. It would cost, $2 million to do the whole of Auckland, just for 1 or 2 schools. And the $4 million, that would do the whole country. So I do think there's enough money. I think it's actually distributing it correctly and actually prioritising these children.
Kerry Owen says she could feed kids for $1.83 per day, all of the kids in need for $4 million. I mean, it's less than the price of a motorway overbridge.
Yeah, it is a parental responsibility to actually provide food for their children.
You can blame the parents, but the bottom line, Minister, is these kids are still going hungry.
I do not know a school that lets a child go hungry in the day.
But you don't know that if you're not measuring how big the problem is.
Well, I think that at the end of the day, we know what the schools know about their own community and they know what is happening and we back them to be making the decisions that are right for them.
If it comes up to this line, that feeds 400 children. So if it's halfway up the line on both, that's not enough.
For Kerry Owen, though, the problems facing hungry children are far too big, too important, to be left to charity.
I suppose I'm now begging the country actually to step up and help, you know, make a change for these children. And then I'll be able to get enough sleep at night because I've lost a lot of sleep.
What's your message to government?
That it needs to invest in these children, that it actually should be a top priority. These children deserve the best. They are the future of New Zealand, that's what I believe.
Ignore them at your peril.
Definitely.
So you may be interested. All the main political parties have by now released their policy around child poverty in the lead up to the election.